You awaken with a start, not knowing whether the sun has already risen or is still hiding behind a hazy, dusty sky. Your eyes struggle to adjust, the air thick with smoke, sweat, and the tang of something you can't immediately identify. Rotting food, perhaps, or the relentless smell of animals mingling with the city's filth. You're lying on rough straw, the ground uneven beneath you, and your limbs ache in ways that suggest yesterday, or whatever day it is here, was unforgiving. You push yourself upright, and immediately the chaos hits you like a physical wall. Voices, shrill and low, echo from every direction. People shout in a language that sounds vaguely familiar, yet every word is alien when wrapped in the rhythm of this place. The clatter of hooves against stone, the jangle of metal harnesses, the bark of dogs and braying of livestock, all blend into a dizzying cacophony. You lift your gaze, and your first real view of Rome strikes you with overwhelming immediacy. Towering stone buildings loom above you, some gleaming in the sun, others blackened by smoke and time, their walls scarred, their windows mere slits. Streets twist unpredictably, narrow in some places, wide in others, paved with uneven cobblestones that threaten to trip you at every step. Above you, the sky feels smaller, hemmed in by terraces and arches, a cityscape rising in dizzying layers of human ambition. From your vantage, it seems endless, a maze with no edge, a place designed to swallow you whole. Moving cautiously, you step into one of the broader streets, immediately jostled by people, carts, and animals. The smell of sweat is immediate, suffocating, interspersed with cooking fires and the sour bite of human waste. The sidewalks, if you can call them that, are crowded, yet there's no clear pattern. Merchants push carts laden with vegetables, fish, and loaves of bread that are dense and coarse. Their voices rise above the din in a practiced shriek, hawking wares, warning of prices, insulting each other in jest or irritation. Children dart between ankles, begging, stealing, laughing. Dogs tug at leashes or fight over scraps. Somewhere a pig squeals, or perhaps it's a man in a fur cap pretending to be a pig for the amusement of children. You cannot tell. The sheer scale of human life here is staggering. It's easy to forget that, in your own world, streets are cleaned, systems exist to make order possible. Here, the streets are alive with motion and menace. You find yourself pressed against a wall as a cart barrels past, its wheels splintering the cobbles, the driver swearing at anyone too close. You stumble forward, catching your balance only with difficulty, and realise that your very survival depends on observation, reflex, and a strange willingness to move with the flow rather than resist it. Even now, a merchant accidentally bumps into you, mutters a sharp apology, and you step back quickly before his pack of goats decides you are a suitable target. As you navigate, the architecture begins to assert itself more profoundly. Marble columns rise on forum buildings, their tops carved with meticulous precision, yet streaked with soot and grime. Triumphal arches punctuate the city, each a monument to victories whose names and significance are lost to you. Statues gaze down, their faces frozen in expressions of authority or divinity, their presence both intimidating and strangely comforting, as if some part of the city's spirit is aware of your intrusion. Yet every corner also hides decay. Wooden shutters hang at odd angles, plaster peels from walls, and rats, surely more than you could have imagined, dart across the cobblestones, unbothered by the pressing crowd. You try to orient yourself, looking for signs, street names, anything that might anchor you in this vast living organism. But every block seems identical in its density and activity. Noise rebounds between walls, magnifying the city's pulse. You hear a distant hammering, a clanging of bronze, perhaps from a smithy, or maybe the ringing of a temple bell, signalling a sacrifice or an offering you cannot yet identify. The mix of pagan and practical, of the sacred and the profane, blends seamlessly, so that you cannot distinguish where daily life ends and ritual begins. Hungry, disoriented and wary, you search for some semblance of guidance. A figure approaches, an older man with a tunic that has seen better days. He gestures, asking a question you don't understand fully. His voice is harsh, yet there is patience in his eyes. You nod, hoping that some semblance of courtesy transcends language, and he points down a narrow alley, gesturing in the universal language of survival. Go there. Find rest. Avoid trouble. You thank him, uncertain if he understands, and move cautiously, mindful of the shift in rhythm as you leave the wider thoroughfare and enter a quieter, more residential section. Here, the air feels different, warmer, heavier, as if the city itself breathes in this part of the day. Children play with sticks that could be knives, women hang laundry that smells faintly of vinegar and smoke, men gather in small clusters, arguing or laughing, their gestures exaggerated and urgent. Every face tells a story of hard survival, endurance and cleverness. You realise that in this city to exist is to negotiate endlessly, with space, with people, with time itself. One misstep, one wrong glance, one delayed reaction, and the consequences might be immediate and severe. You find a small courtyard shaded by a leaning wall and pause to take stock. Your body is stiff, your stomach growls, your head spins from the combination of smells, sounds and sheer mental overload. Yet beneath the anxiety, a strange curiosity begins to grow. The city is alive, vibrant, terrifying and oddly mesmerising. You notice details you had missed before, the carved faces on a fountain, the pattern of tiles beneath a doorway, a bird perched fearlessly on a windowsill, observing you as you observe it. This is life in its rawest, most unfiltered form, a place where civilization and chaos exist side by side, inseparable. As dusk begins to tint the sky, you realise that surviving even one day here is a feat. Each moment demands vigilance, energy, and adaptability. The Eternal City is not merely a backdrop, it is an active participant in the shaping of your experience. Its streets, buildings, and people press upon you constantly, demanding awareness, demanding that you negotiate the endless ballet of daily existence. You sense that a week, mere 7 days, would stretch every fibre of your being, pushing limits you did not know you possessed. And yet, despite the fear, the overwhelming confusion, and the primitive threat of every turn, you are captivated. Rome, in all its beauty and brutality, asserts a magnetic pull. Every shout, every clatter, every aroma is a thread in a tapestry you cannot yet fully grasp, but you know will dominate your life in the days to come. You take a deep breath, brace against the stench and the heat, and step forward, deciding that survival, however fleeting, begins with moving into the city rather than recoiling from it. In that moment, standing at the threshold of the Eternal City, you understand the truth. Ancient Rome does not forgive. It does not accommodate weakness or hesitation. Every glance, every movement, every decision matters. And even as your senses reel from the assault of this new world, you recognise that curiosity, courage and attention are your only allies. The city is alive and it has already begun to shape you, whether you are ready or not. You step fully into the streets, and the city's pulse swells around you like a living thing. Every cobblestone seems to hum with activity. Every archway channels the movement of people, carts and animals, in a chaotic rhythm that you can't hope to tame. The moment you leave the relative calm of your alleyway, the city asserts itself with brutal immediacy. Vendors shout incessantly, their calls sharp and insistent, each vying for your attention, your coin, or perhaps just your acknowledgement. You try to nod politely, but your gestures are lost amid the human tide pressing from all directions. A mule's bray cuts through the noise, followed by a cartwheel splintering a loose stone underfoot. You leap aside just in time, heart hammering, mind frantically cataloguing danger, where it's coming from, where it might go next. The streets are uneven, warped by centuries of foot traffic and weather. Stones jut out at irregular angles, and you stumble often, your body unaccustomed to this terrain. Between the stones, You see puddles of water that shimmer with oil, remnants of last night's cooking fires, or perhaps sewage seeping from a nearby drain. The smell makes your stomach turn, but it also forces your senses awake. You inhale cautiously, realizing that breathing in rhythm with the city is a skill you must learn. A sudden clatter makes you whip your head around. 2 boys have collided with a vendor's stall, sending eggs tumbling across the street. The vendor's furious shouts ricochet off the walls. One boy sprints away. The other freezes, eyes wide, clutching a wooden spoon as if it were a weapon. You step carefully past the carnage, acutely aware that missteps here can have consequences far worse than spilled eggs. Animals share these streets with humans, and they move with a boldness born of survival. Dogs weave through the crowd, sniffing at stray scraps or snapping at each other over territory. Pigs root in puddles, oblivious to pedestrians who dodge instinctively. Chickens wander, wings flapping, sending people scattering in every direction. You step on a loose tile, hear the shriek of a bird, and almost collide with a goat tethered to a post, its horns dangerously close. Every step is an exercise in alertness. You realize that the city demands constant negotiation, and every glance, every move carries weight. Children run through the streets, laughing, shrieking, and occasionally attempting to snatch anything they can reach. One small hand darts at your pouch, and you barely manage to pull it away, heart racing. The child doesn't hesitate. He darts into the crowd again, disappearing as quickly as he appeared. You understand immediately. These children are miniature masters of survival, shaped by the chaos around them, fearless and merciless in equal measure. A pang of both admiration and horror strikes you. If life here is a test of endurance, these children are already winning. Carts and wagons rumble past, some drawn by oxen, others by horses, each threatening to crush anyone who dares stray into their path. Drivers shout, lash at animals, and jostle pedestrians, their expressions a mix of irritation and resignation. You notice that traffic flows like a river with its own unpredictable current, and you learn quickly to drift with it rather than fight it. The city's motion is not polite. It does not pause for hesitation. Standing still can be more dangerous than moving, and you find yourself calculating every step, timing your movements with instinct you never knew you possessed. Merchants hawk their wares in a riot of colour and sound. Baskets of fruits, some bruised and pungent, spill onto the streets. Loaves of bread are stacked high, their crusts thick and cracked, tempting yet slightly sour smelling. Fish lie on slabs of stone, already slick with slime and attracting flies. The smell makes you recoil, but it also draws your attention to the ways Romans sustain themselves amidst filth and heat. You imagine yourself eating here, realizing how your stomach and mind must adapt to survive even a single day. Some merchants notice your hesitation and call out, attempting to coax you closer. You nod politely, step away, and wonder if a wrong move might provoke anger or mockery. Beyond the market chaos, the architecture itself shapes the street's character. Narrow alleys funnel people like water through channels. Overhanging balconies create shadows that hide potential threats or curiosities. Doors creak open to reveal glimpses of domestic life. Women pounding grain, men repairing tools, children playing in confined courtyards. You notice a small shrine in one doorway, offerings of bread and wine left for household gods, a reminder that even here, the divine is intertwined with the mundane. A sudden shout from a far corner of the street pulls your attention. 2 men arguing over a debt, their voices sharp, threatening, gesturing with knives. You hastily sidestep, realizing that commerce here is inseparable from conflict. The noise never abates. Hammers strike metal in distant workshops. The bark of animals echoes off stone walls. Conversations overlap in a symphony of intensity. The city does not sleep in any sense you recognize. Even in moments of apparent calm, you feel the vibrations of life pressing around you. Every footfall, every shout, every smell and movement is a signal, a test, a reminder that you are merely one small participant in a vast, indifferent ecosystem. You notice your own heartbeat accelerating, the constant alertness making your muscles tense, but it also sharpens your senses. You begin to anticipate, to read the flow of crowds, to predict the path of carts, the sudden darting of children, the erratic flight of birds. You begin to understand the city's hierarchy, not in political terms, but in raw survival terms. The powerful move with confidence, pushing through the throngs with authority. The nimble weave and steal, avoiding notice. The strong assert themselves with physicality, while the cautious navigate the edges, always aware, always calculating. You are none of these yet. You are an observer, a student, trying desperately to remain unseen and unharmed while the city's currents buffet you endlessly. As the sun climbs higher, the streets take on an almost unbearable heat. Stone radiates warmth. The air smells sharper, more oppressive. Sweat trickles down your back, stinging your eyes. You stop briefly in a shaded doorway, feeling the relentless pulse of life around you. Even in this brief pause, movement continues. A merchant sweeps debris from his stall. A child cries over a lost coin. An animal shrieks in some distant dispute. The city never rests. You realize that survival here demands more than physical endurance. It requires mental adaptation, constant recalibration, and the unshakable awareness that each moment may bring minor injury, major conflict, or even opportunity. By midday, your initial awe is tinged with exhaustion. You have witnessed petty theft, minor disputes, and the intricate choreography of urban life that the Romans navigate effortlessly. You have smelled the entire spectrum of the city's essence: sweat, food, waste, smoke, and absorbed its energy, chaotic and relentless. Standing in the centre of a crowded intersection, you catch your breath, noticing for the first time the sheer ingenuity of human adaptation. Everyone here has learned the rules of engagement with the streets, and failure is not an option. You move on, weaving through the chaos, increasingly aware that to survive even a single day in Rome requires more than luck. It requires observation, timing, intuition, and a willingness to accept the city's unpredictable nature. Already you feel a subtle transformation. Your senses heightened, your reflexes sharpened, your understanding of danger intimate and immediate. The streets of stone and chaos have claimed your attention completely. You're no longer a passive observer. You're an active participant in the city's relentless flow, learning its rhythms, feeling its weight, and realizing, with a growing sense of awe and fear, that survival is never guaranteed here.